Welcome to the Health Coach Nation podcast. My name is Hailey Rowe. I'm a marketing and sales coach and strategist for online coaches and entrepreneurs. And I'm really excited because today we have a guest, Janet, who is the founder of Hammock Way of Life. And we're going to get into that today. But if you are a coach listening and you either want to help people with finding their purpose, or you want a new way to connect with new clients, Janet has a really cool way of doing that. And so we're going to talk about that. And just before we get into today's episode, if you are looking for other ways to grow your visibility in your audience, the freebie of the day is the free 4 Steps to Client Attraction class and cheat sheet. And you can get that at haileyrowe.com/client-attraction. But now let's dig into our guests. So Janet, tell me a little bit about who you are and what you do, and then we'll dig into your Hammock Way of Life.
Sure. So I help people manifest dreams faster, and I do that through vision boarding. And I teach other people my methodology in vision boarding. And so I have a certification in my business for that. I mainly am a business advisor. I've helped over 1,000 companies in my lifetime start and scale businesses. I teach all around New York State, and our coaches are worldwide.
Amazing. So what even got you stumbling upon vision boards and making that like your thing?
Sure. So I started with individuals. I started doing that with my private clients, and some of the clients ended up either after the pandemic going back into full-time jobs, or they used it in their businesses and then invited me as their businesses grew to work with their teams. And I realized there was really something powerful in getting a vision, especially for creatives in creative companies. So I started with everybody now, whether they're a private client or I work with couples or teams and large corporations. We always start with vision boarding. And so now I'm so busy with that aspect of my business that I can't do it all myself. And that's why I started certifying people in my methodology. And that part of the business really started taking off last January. And now we have an accredited program, and we're worldwide. So it's pretty exciting stuff.
Wow. Amazing. So you essentially have a vision board certification, right? And a manifesting, like it helps people help others with manifesting. Is that correct?
It's correct. Yes. And we can bring in lots of other tools as well. So we use AI tools, we use business models. There's lots of neuroscience now around how the brain processes images and words so that things come true. And so that aspect of it has been really, really helpful, especially when we're working with people that are skeptics and prefer to hear about the science and not so much what I call the woo. So we say it's where science meets woo.
Yeah. And let's actually talk about that a little bit, because there is, a group of people who hear the word manifesting or woo woo and they're like, okay, what's that all about? So tell me a little bit about like what, you are someone who I think has both the sciencey brain in you and the woo. So
Yes.
tell me a little bit about that and kind of like how you describe manifesting to people who are like, that seems a little weird.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because the people that usually say that are not the ones that are manifesting because of the negative attitude, right? It all starts with the words that you use. If you're positive about things, if you really believe in them, if you don't leave yourself in a wishing or wanting state, and you really feel in your heart that things can come true, those are the people that are manifesting faster. And so that's what we teach, is how to reframe the language of things. So if let's say someone is looking for love and they see a couple walking down the street and their first thought is, oh, they have love and I don't, right? And instead of saying, oh, wow, that's amazing that those two have love, I'm going to have that someday too, it just shifts the reframe. And you can do that with everything. You can do it with business, or whether you want to own some property or a car or something like that. If you reframe it so that you're actually thinking positively instead of negatively, that helps. So the skeptics usually, are not manifesting things because of their skepticism right from the start.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's also, when you start to focus on something, your brain actually pays attention to more things like that. And it's like, as they say, like attracts like. So, if you're focusing on all the momentum you're building and all the little wins you see building up, and you're going to start to notice more of that and attract more of that. So it's that kind of concept. But what about the science? What do you say to the people who are like, well, I need to see the science? Like, what's your response to that?
Yeah, there's some great scientists out there that are doing experiments. So one of them I love to talk about is Dr. Emoto from Japan. And so what he did was he took 2 glasses of water and he put one in one room and one in the other room. And he spoke wonderful things to one glass of water and not so great things to another one. And then he put the water underneath a microscope. And what happened is the murky one was the one he spoke bad to. And then the other one was beautiful, crystals underneath the microscope. And our bodies are made of mostly water. So what happens when we have negative self-talk, when we talk about other people, he's got solid proof that this works. He's now doing experiments with rice. IKEA did experiments with plants. They put 2 plants at the beginning of their stores, and they had customers come in and they spoke negatively to one plant and positively to the other one. They kind of bullied one and not the other. And one plant died and the other one was thriving. So there's, again, it's not high-tech science, but it's proof that what our words matter.
Oh yeah, that's so interesting. And I think there was another study that I saw somewhere, and it was something about like how you talk to yourself impacted people's immune system and whether they got sick or not. Like they put them in germy environments, and the ones who were saying like you're safe and my body takes care of me and like things like that, they didn't get sick as much as the group that wasn't saying those things. So
yeah, there's actually wild experiments going on now if you really love neuroscience and quantum physics, where people are let me say I get this right, praying for people that were born in a certain era that are now sick, right? So they're praying for them in the era that they were, they first had their illness. And what happens is their health starts to improve now. So the neuroscience and the quantum physics behind this is it's fascinating. So Dr. Joe Dispenza has written a lot of books about that.
Oh yeah, that's a great reference. Yeah. Yes. Joe Dispenza has like 3 books or more, and they're all really good. So tell me a little bit more about this whole vision boarding. So you mentioned that coaches can get certified in this. What is that like? Tell me more about what that looks like and what kind of things they are doing with this certification, that kind of thing.
So I'm all about collaboration. And so a lot of times when I get called in, people want a day-long workshop and they don't just want vision boarding. So I might go in to do vision boarding, but then I bring along coaches that do all sorts of things: human design, DISC assessment, Myers-Briggs, via strengths assessment. We have, creatives that come in and do mindful sewing and Legos and Zentangle and mandalas and sound healing, improv, all sorts of things, right? Just day-long, really fun, creative workshops. So we're looking for all sorts of coaches. You're not our employee, you're an independent contractor and can just take our tools and use them. And if we have an opportunity to bring you into our workshops, we're doing some really creative things coming up. That we look for people in different states. What's happening is that I'm based in upstate New York, and we're getting calls from across the country. And so we're looking to partner with other coaches that are in those states so that a client doesn't have to pay for us to travel if we feel confident in them. So if you're a coach who likes to speak and already has training skills and has done that sort of work before, that's what we're looking for. People that are seasoned and also people that are new to coaching that want an added certification to what they already have.
Right. Yeah. And I think that that's something where, as a coach, you want to keep expanding your skill set. And this is kind of a new angle. And it's something too that you said, it's something that's great that gets people in the door, because let's face it, coaching, a lot of people don't understand what it truly is, or they've never hired a coach before. But when you have something tangible, like you can offer a live vision boarding workshop or something that is kind of like an introductory into this world,
right.
It could be really fun and a good way to like get out there and start meeting people, which is a big part of how you get clients. So
exactly.
Tell me a little more about what is a vision boarding workshop like? What could it look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do it multiple ways. So we can either do it virtually or we can do it in person. So if we do it virtually, we use tools like Pinterest or Canva or Mural. You can use Word. People can actually show up with a poster board and scissors, and just because it's virtual, they can still use tangible tools if that feels more comfortable to them. And when we do it in person, we bring in all sorts of things. The boards can be cork boards. They can be big poster boards, or just something fun and creative. We've seen people make waves out of really cut interesting shapes out of it if they're creative. And so we can add sound elements into it. And sometimes we bring cake boxes and we do 3-dimensional vision boards. And so all sorts of fun ways to do it. And the team part of it is great because it really does bring teams together, and the sharing aspects of it builds community, which is really what our whole goal is for my company, is building community.
Yeah. And I'd love to just kind of hear more from you, because you're somebody who has grown and scaled a business. So what are some of the most valuable pieces of advice you'd give to somebody who's starting out? And maybe they're not even, we'll go through a couple questions, but let's say they're in the beginning stages and they're just looking to get out there and they're just looking to get their first clients. What would you say is some advice, either of things they should or should not be focusing on at that stage?
Yeah. I would say join as many communities as you possibly can virtually. That really has helped scale my business rapidly. And there's all sorts of free ones now out there, and some of them are very giving. I know a few of them that at the end of every networking event, they say, what's your give? And so you can learn a lot from that. And some of them are about making real connections. It's not just sales. It's all about getting to know, developing relationships with the people that are in those rooms with you. And so I think that's important. And just knowing how you differentiate yourself, what your brand is. There's so many coaches out there. And there's also really great supporters. I work with somebody in Australia who has an Australian TV show. She mainly interviews coaches. So if somebody wants to be interviewed on an Australian TV show, they can connect, and I can help, connect you with that person. So my focus has been building a community that supports other coaches so that all of our networks can help one another.
100%. Yeah. In that early stage, networking and getting out there in communities is the name of the game. And actually, that's how Janet and I met, was through a networking group. And what about when they get to the point now where they're needing to scale and have systems, and they're kind of where you are, where now you are training coaches on this because you can't physically do all the workshops yourself. So tell me a little bit about some of the shifts in your focus now as someone who's scaling.
Yeah, so I actually help people scale. That's how I invited you to speak to the class that I teach. One of the classes that I teach in Queens, New York, and I recommend getting into a program that helps you scale, because you're going to learn about things like podcasting and marketing and LinkedIn and content writing. There's just so much to a business. And so if you have all of those things in a one-stop shop, I think it's a lot easier than trying to find it in multiple places. So not only do I help teach that, but I invite other speakers in. So if you're a coach that is scaling and wants to meet lots of people at one time, either teach it or join something where you can meet a lot of people at once.
Yeah, definitely. And I loved doing a guest teaching for your class. They were awesome, and some really exciting business owners up on the rise, and seeing all their work out there with their Instagram they shared and all that. So what about when it comes to what's next for you specifically in your business? What's kind of your vision? What's your purpose right now? I mean, I know you want to provide valuable support for coaches, but what's next for you in the next decade or so?
Yeah, I have a solid plan. So my 2 books are coming out this year. One of them is called From Inspiration to Success, The Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm part of an anthology. And the other one is my memoir, which is part memoir, part business book, part journal, called The Hammock Way of Life, Leaping Toward Joy. And my goal in the next few years is to scale the business into multiple companies. So once we have all of the vision board coaches lined up worldwide, we're going to really scale it to market it to big companies, and so that we have a team in place to go in to do that. And then my ultimate goal is to sell it within 3 to 5 years. So that's
amazing.
it's all laid out.
Yeah, I love that. And, somebody listening to this might be a business owner who hears a goal like that and gets really overwhelmed easily. So I'm curious, because you do have a lot of things going on. How do you manage overwhelm as an entrepreneur and not get into kind of like the victim mindset? Because we know that stops manifesting too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm not, I used to be, I'm not anymore. I used to be afraid to ask for help, whether it was, help with anything at all, like loans. And this year I tried something different. I said, okay, I can't do it all alone anymore because I'm scaling so rapidly. So how can I do everything at once without having to wait? And so I used Pursuit Lending to take out a small business loan, and then hired some VAs, and then some coaches in other countries where you need trademarks in other countries, you need the accreditation, there's all these things that you need. And so now I have a fully supported base of content writers and marketing people, and I don't have employees. So I initially made that decision in my business that I would love to hire independent contractors, but I didn't want to have employees. So I have a team of wonderful people helping support that now. And so that feels really good. And it's laid a great foundation to get to where I want to go.
I love that. Amazing. Anything else you'd want to say to new coaches who are thinking, maybe I should look into this vision board? Like, do you have maybe some examples of coaches who are doing cool things with it or things like that?
So many. Yeah. So one of the coaches that I work with is she's on a board of a women's organization that helps women who are in transition from jobs. And so she's invited us in 2 years in a row to do vision boarding. We have a client who had us do a staff appreciation event where at the end of it, they gave out a big bonus to everybody. So the surprise and our vision board kits was a bonus at the end. And we have worked in, from people in prisons to high net worth women. So it really runs the gamut. Anybody can do this work. And, but we have, like I said, the support and tools in place to really help people get to a whole other level in their lives if that's what they want.
Yeah. And what would be like a belief or something that you've manifested that originally you didn't think you could, or you had a lot of limiting beliefs around it? And how did you tell me a little more about how you worked through that?
So sometimes you have to be careful what you wish for. So I always tell people, be very specific about what you wish for. So a couple of things. One year I put a picture of a Buddha on the middle of my board. And to me, that represented relax, do some yoga, things like that. And I ended up at the largest Buddha temple in China.
Oh my gosh.
So that was an interesting thing. Another time, I put a picture of an Oscar on my board, and my hairstylist won an Oscar for the movie The Whale. And so she let me hold her Oscar, which was really fun, but it wasn't my Oscar. So I wasn't specific enough. I just put an Oscar on my board and thought, oh the universe is going to know what that, know what that means. But the most exciting thing recently was that the books that I'm writing got on a Times Square billboard. And so my picture on the billboard. So that was really fun.
How cool is that? I love that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I think that vision boards are fun because they direct your focus. It's something you can look at repeatedly, because part of, I think, the problem too, when it comes to reaching our goals, is we just forget, or we keep it out of mind, or, but what are some of the common, I guess, traps you see people falling into that keep them from their goals?
Yeah. So I tell people to put it on as your screensaver, put it in front of your treadmill, put it in the closet where you see it often, anywhere that you see it often. Some people are framing them and putting them in their office, and repurpose it. If you get a goal on your board, to shuffle things around and deconstruct the board and reconstruct it, things that you still want to achieve, keep it on the board, and then redo it if you don't want that. So it's really important to feel into it, to not just think about it, to take action steps. The action piece of it is so important, to take 1 to 3 steps towards something. So if you want to buy a car, go test drive it. That's a free thing you can do. If you want a house, go to an open house, right? So not everything has to cost money. But if you just sit there and do nothing, that's probably what's going to transpire.
Yeah, for sure. Amazing. Well, where can people find you, connect with Hammock Way of Life, all the things if they were curious about this program?
Sure. So I'm available at lots of places. Hammockwayoflife.com is the name of my website. And I'm on LinkedIn as Jazzy Jan. And Instagram is Hammock Way of Life. And Facebook is also Hammock Way of Life. So just to remember
All
him.
right. Where does Jazzy Jan come from?
That's my artist name. I wear a lot of hats.
Oh.
So in addition to Hammock Way of Life, I also own a record label and I'm a mixed media artist. So
Oh my gosh, how
lots
cool
of
is that?
yeah, it's a
Okay.
lot of fun.
When
So
you say mixed media artist, does that mean you mix tape like
yeah.
songs? Okay,
Actually,
gotcha.
no, mixed media artist
Oh,
in terms of visual art. So separate things,
oh,
just two things. Yeah. So my mixed media artist, I use broken musical instrument parts in my work. So I mainly use acrylic paint, but I add a lot of other elements in there. But I start with a musical instrument. So
woo.
yeah.
Very cool. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here. I love how multi-passionate you are and all the cool things that you're doing. And for anybody who wants to check out hammockwayoflife.com, it's available for you. And we appreciate you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Hailey. I really appreciate it. Have a great
Thank
day.
you.